Are you a health educator who's doing consultation calls, and sometimes you find yourself doing these one-on-one calls and you pour out your heart, your soul, your effort, your love into these calls and helping people with their health, only to find out that they don't actually move forward to say yes to your programs or buy from you at the end. And you see that it's like the more consultation calls you have, sometimes it creates more time, or even the thought of it seems like that could be daunting. Today we're going to be talking about how to overcome the 3 objections that you are going to get on these sales calls, and how to actually speak in a way that people will want to pay you each time when you're speaking to people. Understanding how to do consultation calls in a way that actually creates clients is something that not many health educators we learn about, because when we go to the health certifications or our trainings, our medical education, it's great for understanding the body, physiology, disease, its cause, prevention, cure. We understand a lot of those kind of details, but very seldom do we get any training at all on actually how to diagnose the objections, diagnose the real problems that would prevent them from moving forward with your program. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about those. The good news is there are not 30 objections or 300 objections. What if I told you there are only 3? Yes, there are just 3 objections that every reason why someone would say no, or every concern that someone would ever voice on a sales call or listening to in your audience when you're giving your signature speech, the only 3 objections that exist. And once you understand this, then addressing objection becomes so much easier, so much more profitable to have these conversations. So what they do is that they spell out the word VIE, V-I-E. And these 3 are simple. Once you get this down, the first objection is, first type is called vehicle. So vehicle-based objections is basically, let's say you have a methodology, you have a process, and your process is able to help people, let's say, to lose weight. In losing weight, are there many vehicles that people can use in order to accomplish that? Absolutely. Hopefully you could see this. Just think about your ideal client is sad, right? And they want to get to this finish line. Can you see it at the top? Not quite, but they want to get here. But the thing is, they already, before they meet you, they are using a vehicle in order to accomplish that goal. And the vehicle that they use, at the end of the day, you're selling a methodology. You have a process. You have a way to be able to lose weight. See, there are different vehicles to get to the destination they desire. And what people buy when they're buying programs, they're not buying, they don't buy products and programs, they buy solutions to problems. So when you think about your vehicle, this is like a solution. What is the method, the process whereby you will help them to get to where they desire most? So think about in weight loss, how do people lose weight? Let me know in the comments, what are different ways that people have attempted to lose weight? We can see there is let's look at a contrast. There's like the old way, yes, exercise, you've got it. So exercise is something that people do to lose weight. What else do? They eat healthy, right? They change their diet, exactly, you've got it. And sometimes people will think, and when they're eating healthy, you're like, well, let me eat some more salads without dressing. There's a typo here. It should say without dressings, because many people have heard that like dressings is what makes the salads unhealthy, right? Or people will do supplements. They'll try to take supplements to lose weight, or maybe pills. They have weight loss pills, right, that they market, very popular out there. And sometimes people will do detox juicing. I've got a client that Dr. Kendra Lee, she was helping retired women to lose weight with detox juicing. Sometimes people encourage like real food instead of the fake processed foods, or like whole foods. And then there's different diets that people have. If you actually look at it, there's keto diet, there's Atkins diet, there's paleo diet, there's plant-based diet. There's a variety of different diets that people promote that would, for the goal of losing weight. So I want you to think about, their objective is to lose weight, but the vehicle to get there is different for every company. So one thing that every health educator would greatly benefit is get really clear on what is the single methodology that you will be able to promote or recommend in your marketing. Now you might hear this, you're like, but I know I have many different skills. Maybe I know hydrotherapy, maybe I know about RBTI, maybe I know about nutrition and cooking, or maybe there's a variety of different modalities and skills that you have, and that's great. But when it comes to marketing, when it comes to sales, it's very important to focus on one thing. What is one thing, one process that you can share that by sharing would help people to be able to wrap their heads around it and sell them on one process? It's so much easier to help someone to believe one process is going to be really effective in helping them with a variety of ways. Once they join your program, then you can like introduce the other like methods and ways that you have to help and heal them. But as far as your marketing, as far as your sales, when the conversation is more focused on one thing, your conversions increase drastically. And this is a big thing. This is one of the biggest mistakes a lot of health educators make on consultation calls. They use so much medical jargon and overwhelm people with information. We're trying to over deliver, but we end up overwhelming. So one of the reasons why consultation calls don't convert is because we're trying to give them everything we know on that topic in like 60 minutes or less, or we just overload them we focus too much on the right thing in the wrong order. Many of the ways that we are taught to do consultation calls from medical training or health certifications are fantastic to do after they become your client. I call them like a health intake form, health intake. That's going to be a very different conversation than the conversation that's going to lead them to make an informed decision to purchase with you. So most health educators, when they come to me and I review or I audit what their sales process is, I see that they're asking the questions on that consultation call that really would be best to be asked after they become your clients. But before they become your client, there's a new way, a different way, a better method to be able to ask them so that it's able to touch on the psychological points that will help a human being to make a buying decision and will help lead them through that process so that you can discuss what is necessary in order for them to move forward. Does that make sense? So I'll give you examples of what that looks like. So we're looking at the old way. These old vehicles are basically anything that your client would do instead of working with you. So think about, these are methods that your competitors might be promoting, or they're in their mind, they're thinking, okay, either I'm going to join your weight loss program, or maybe I'm going to join your blood pressure recovery program, or I'm going to go pay my money over here and I'm going to go work with this person. So if they're comparing what I'm calling a vehicle to some other result, this is why people do it. So then what is your new way? Let's say your new way, like for us, we've done some trainings where we're showing people that you can actually support your telomere, which is like the tips or caps of your chromosomes that they help protect you. It's your DNA. As we age, our telomere gets shorter, and every degenerative disease has been linked to the length of the telomere. So there's that education that's new. It's different. And by educating people about how to support their telomere nutritionally, and then people are like, wow, I want to do that. We've helped people get phenomenal results in that area. Other ways you can focus on is like cleansing. But even in cleansing, you could share that not all cleansings are created equally. There is colon cleanses, there's kidney cleanses, there's liver cleanses, there's skin cleanses, and there is cleansing shampoos, and there's cellular cleanses. There's a variety of different cleanses, right? So if you're selling a cleanse or a detox, instead of just telling people you need to cleanse, you can contrast what are the other methods of cleansing that people do, or what are the other methods of healing that people do that are not cleansing. So an example is like people want to lose weight, and like we have a segment in our signature speech where it's like why diets don't work. And because diets, they restrict your nutrients, and then you start losing some weight, but it doesn't address the problem. The problem is you got toxins in your body, and fat is our body's response to protecting the body, and it enrobes those toxins in fat cells in order to protect the organs from being damaged. So you might lose the fat, which is your protection. Now you're more concentrated with toxicity. And so what happens? You sends a warning signal to the liver, and then it rebounds. And then your fat comes back with friends, right? This is why we call it a yo-yo diet, because you're going out, you're going back and forth, and then people get on this hamster wheel. And when you say that, people are like, yes, I've experienced that. I know what that's like. How many of you have known someone or maybe experienced yourself that you've gained weight, you've lost it, you've gained weight, you lost it, you went through that process. And so now we're answering problems, we're providing clarity on a topic that is actually overcoming an objection and educating them closer to sale. Why? Because if I'm selling a cleansing program, then the next thing I share is that, so instead of dieting, which dietings don't work, you cleanse the body from the toxins. When you release the toxins, your body's able to release the fat, and there's no more need for it. So not only do you release it, but you keep it off. There's no more rebound. There's no more yo-yo effect. Now what we've done is we positioned diets against the cleansing. So the old way is these diets that don't work. The new way, the new vehicle, is the new process to get where you desire most is now cleansing. And you might, and so hopefully you can see, like, this is overcoming an objection that's helping people to see what not to do, or to see that your offer is better. It is different than anything that they've experienced, because that's really what you want to do is the best. A lot of health educators don't have an offer problem. A lot of them don't have a credibility problem. They have a positioning problem. Just by the way you position your offer can drastically increase the perceived value and people's willingness to actually pay you large money to solve their problem, because it increases their perceived likelihood of achieving with you. So you're actually giving them a way out where you're showing, like, hey, it's not, if you've tried to lose weight in the past, it's not your fault, because these old vehicles, these methods don't work, or they are not optimized to help you to succeed. Many people don't have success for this. Look at all the people who've had success with this new way, this process, unique methodology that I teach. Now it increases the perceived value. And positioning is because you've now positioned your new way compared to all these old things that they've been considering, they've been exposed to, they've maybe even tried and failed in the past, and they think that none of it works, and they get discouraged. So rather than telling them that you have a better way or something like how to do what they've already been trying and better, position it as you have an entirely different way. It's unlike anything that they've experienced or tried in the past. And when you can show the differentiation and how yours is unique, that's why people buy from you. Now they're being sold on the vehicle. The vehicle is one of the easiest objections to be able to address. Vehicle-based objections, like what kind of concerns would that be? Well, I've tried other things in the past and they didn't work for me. Or how I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do this keto diet or if I'm going to go through your detox juicing program. And like, that's going to be a vehicle-based objection. Or some people are like, hey, this disease is not curable. Like, it's impossible for me to reverse diabetes. I'm going to be stuck with it for the rest of my life. Or high blood pressure is not something I can cure. So if people believe that the sickness cannot be addressed, then what kind of objection is that? That's a vehicle-based objection. And the way you overcome vehicle-based objections, and that's why I say there's only 3. There's not 50, but the way you overcome it is the same way every single time. And it's so encouraging to realize that there's a pattern. So the way that you overcome is you, number 1, it's just 3 things. You listen. Number 2, you relate. And number 3, you tell stories. Listen, relate, tell stories. And what I mean by that is like, you listen. Okay, so if someone says that I've tried other things in the past and they didn't work, then you ask, well, what have you tried in the past? And they're saying, well, I've done this diet over here. I was in this program. I paid this guy a bunch of money. I was on Weight Watchers. And they start talking about these things that they've done in the past. You say, okay, well, what do you see that those things were missing to serve you in a way that you're really looking for? And they're like, well, I guess I was in a program, but there's so many people, and I really needed some accountability, someone to hold my hand through it. It's kind of confusing with the meals, and I didn't really know what to do with that. And then the third question is really powerful, and you can write these down. What have you tried in the past? What do you see that those were missing to serve you in a way that you're really looking for? And then the third question is, well, how do you see that what I'm doing is different? What do you see is different about my program? And the reason why you want to ask that, rather than just jump on them and tell them how everything's different, you're listening and you're asking questions. You're figuring out, what do they value? What do they not value? A big mistake that health educators make, preventing them from actually making sales when they speak on stages or when they do consultation calls, is because they're not actually listening for the concerns. They're not digging for the objections. Most health educators avoid objections. They hear a concern and then they're like, oh, okay, and they accept the first no. It's one of the biggest mistakes you can make, because a lot of times these concerns, they're not an absolute brick wall, no way, Jose. It is more of an opportunity to discover. It's an opportunity for serving them, to flipping the script, to helping them expand and explore other possibilities. Someone says, oh, none of that stuff works. I've tried all that. Or maybe my doctor said that I can't reverse this sickness. Whatever it is, one of the ways that you're able to address that is you listen by asking questions. And then you can relate. You say, you know what? I used to believe also that type 2 diabetes can't be reversed. But then I had a heart attack when I was 12, and I learned from this man about this heart improvement program, and he was showing how these many chronic diseases, including heart disease, can be reversed. And I applied the principles he shared, and no longer am I pre-diabetic. In fact, even my cholesterol and my high blood pressure, they all lowered and they never raised back up again. And so now, not only for me, but I've actually had family or friends, or maybe I've had clients who've been able to reverse their heart disease. And by telling stories, so you relate, you say, you know, I used to believe that too. Or you could say, you know, this person used to believe that as well, but then they joined my program and they were able to reverse the sickness or get better. So you're relating, and then you tell a story of someone who's able to have success with your vehicle, with your methodology. This is the easiest objections to overcome, because this is the way you overcome it is just show stories of people who had success with your methodology, with your detox, with your diet plan, with your unique process, your protocol, what you do. So this is really answering the question, does it work? That's what they want to know. Like, does it actually work? Is it possible to reverse my condition? Does this vehicle, the methodology that you're saying, actually get the result that I'm looking for? And so they have to trust the process, your unique process. And the thing is, what a lot of people will do, I listen to health educators speak and do presentations a lot, and I see struggling health educators, when they talk, they give a huge list of all these things for you to do, all these things for you to address, and wake up every morning, that's a new vehicle. Do intermittent fasting, that's a new vehicle. Have another have this supplements, which like ashwagandha, and take some of these other adaptogens. Like, all those are new vehicles, and they're talking about these supplements to do, these meals to eat, and all these things to do to fix an issue, when they really don't need to hear all those things. They need to hear stories of people who've been able to fix their issue, to solve their health problem. Because many people, think about this, if your prospect doesn't even believe that it's possible for them to change, why would they buy your program that's helping them to change their condition? It doesn't make any sense. So the first belief that our brain has to conclude is, does it even work? Is it possible? And then the second question, how many of you are finding value so far? Is this making sense? Type vehicle in the chat below if you're starting to connect and click. You're like, okay, I can see the benefit of having a process and overcoming these vehicle-based objections. So the second question that people ask, this is the I, which stands for, and the great reveal, internal. So internal-based objections. This is asking the question, okay, I see that it works. Cool. But can I do it? Can I do it? This is now how the brain asks. They're like, okay, so detox juicing works, but it's like, I can't juice. I can't juice because I just like, I can't like stop eating. I can't fast. I don't fast. I eat fast, but I don't fast. Like, this is an internal based objections. Like, I don't have the discipline. I don't have I don't have that accountability, or I'm a procrastinator. I hesitate. I delay. Like I overthink, and all of these are internal based objections. Things that start with I am, or these are beliefs that they hold about themselves. So it's a limiting belief on your vehicle. Every objection falls under one of these three categories. It's either a limiting belief on your vehicle, it's a limiting belief on themselves, or it's a limiting belief on this E that we're going to get to. So, so all these concerns that people have is like, oh, I've failed in the past, and I haven't been able to be consistent, or I'm not consistent. These are objections that need to be addressed. You know, a lot of times health educators come to me and they're like, hey, Enoch, how do I handle this objection? I would say one of the way that I teach sales is very different than most people, because instead of handling objections, what if we pre-handle objections so you can address them in advance so they don't even come up in the first place? What's better is to be able to craft your signature speech when this implemented correctly. The right signature speech that's able to address these core objections are able to already pre-sell the person by the time they get on your consultation call or sales call. When they're ready to discover more about working with you, they're already sold. You're not trying to sell them on a call. They're already sold, and they're expressing themselves about why your program is the best program for them to join to reach their goals that they desire. Does that make sense? Like, how would you like it to have people who are pre-sold, already educated, and they're ready, ripe, they have money in hand, and when they get on a call, they're so excited to work with you, and they're basically selling themselves for you to accept them, rather than you trying to push them to do what they don't want or can't afford or think is too much. This is the difference, what we're talking about. When you pre-handle these objections, everything changes for you. So how do we do that? One of the ways is that we have to tell stories. You can listen on these calls. You can listen. Even ChatGPT can help you say, hey, I am selling to people how to reverse type 2 diabetes. What are all of the internal based objections that people would face that would prevent them from accepting? In fact, we have on Skills Unlimited, our AI studio, that's the world's first and only AI-powered copywriter specifically designed to help holistic health educators like you to monetize their knowledge online. If you're in our program, you've got access to that, both on Skills Unlimited and Accelerator. And in there, we have this overcoming objections, objection overcomer agent. And what it does is you can just talk about who you serve, what you offer, answer a couple questions, hit a button, and boom. It gives you a list of all the vehicle, all the internal, all the external based objections for your offer, specifically the things that people would have on the call, and it'll show you exactly what I'm sharing with you, how to listen, relate, tell stories, how to overcome their objections, step by step, systematically. It's actually very profound. So you don't have to guess at any of these, but AI can help you to prepare, and it'll also give you suggestions of what are some of the content closes, the content blocks that you could put in your signature speech, in your message, that would help you to pre-handle these objections so you eliminate them entirely. So by the time you present your offer, they don't have a lot of concerns and objections. They have a lot of readiness to move forward. So the internal based objections, again, the way that you handle them is is slightly different from vehicle. Vehicle is just show any stories of people that are succeeding with your process, then that shows, oh yeah, the vehicle works. But now this one is one of the hardest ones to overcome out of the three, but you can do it. And that is by showing, you listen to their experience and you share with them relatable people. You tell stories of someone who struggled with the same thing that they did and they overcame. You share someone who had the same belief, the same fear, the same anxiety, the same struggle, and it's really by these stories that they start with where your prospect is in their belief, their mind, their experience, and where they're at. Then you tell the story about how they were able to shift, how they're able to change. So you could say someone that, and some of the ways that this overcomes is through like accountability coaching. So if someone's saying like, I'm such a procrastinator, and I have a hard time committing to or following through with what I said I would. So you could tell a story of one of your clients who had a hard time, but it was because of the accountability, or maybe an experience where you had a coach, where you invested in a mentor, where you were distracted and you were doing other things, but a mentor sent you a message, called you out, helped to bring you forward, and was like, hey, remember your goals? So this is what I'm going to do. This is what we do for our clients, is we help them to overcome. Like what I've shared is like one of the greatest gifts that I give my clients is I don't accept their limitations. I help seeing them before they see themselves. I tell a story of how I had a mentor who's like, look, Enoch, I am so confident that you could succeed. I'll have enough confidence for you. You can borrow my confidence so you can have confidence for yourself. And when I heard that, I'm like, you can do that? I didn't even know, because I was doubting myself. I had these internal self-doubts about myself. So one of the ways that he overcame my internal objections is by saying, I will have confidence for you. And I was like, wow. And that brought me through and helped me to be able to start a thriving health education business. So these are some of the things, and all of you can borrow my confidence for you, because if you're doubting if someone would pay you $3,000 for your health advice, I get to see it day in, day out. I'm seeing people getting paid much more than $3,000 for selling. There are people who know far less than you do on health, and they are consistently getting paid way more than you are with their health knowledge. And I see it. I know the process. I've been able to help people to do it. And because of that, I am so confident. I wouldn't be here right now sharing with you if I didn't believe that there's a way. There is a way that is clear, and a path that if you would follow the path and allow me to take you by the hand and lead you to the financial promised land, help you in getting your health knowledge out to the masses, I wouldn't be here teaching this. So as you could see, it's like it's addressing the internal objections. That's the kind of stuff that you could say in your signature speech or on the calls, where you're able to share like, I've got a path, I got a process. One of the ways you're able to overcome the internal objections is, instead of talking so much about like your products, your supplements, or whatever, you can call it a system. Like, I have a system for lowering blood pressure. We've got a system for, when implemented correctly, it was losing weight consistently. What is a system? A system is a step-by-step process for getting a consistent result. How many of you want consistent like blood pressure? How many of you want consistent blood sugar levels? How many of you want consistent consistently stay at your ideal weight? Whatever it is, you flip it for your offer. And that's a type of language where people are like, oh, it's a system. That means it's consistent. That means it's step by step. That means it's a proven path. When you emphasize the systematic approach that you have, and remember, it's one process, that also addresses internal objections. And you share with people, that's why what's so powerful too, that our clients find that when we work with them, here's like a nugget. I don't usually share this unless people pay me thousands of dollars, but I'm gonna share this with you here. What you can do when you're crafting your irresistible offer or your health mentorship program, or anytime you're crafting an offer, what you can do is actually make bonuses in your program that addresses vehicle-based objections. internal based objections, and this last E, this based objections as well. Because what happens is and I'll give you an example. So like, if someone's having a hard time, let's say you're teaching them how to transition through plant-based nutrition. So your plant-based nutrition meal plans, they're like, well, I have a hard time getting how am I going to get my protein? Or how am I going to fix the meals or these substitutions? I can't give up my favorite food I can't give up my favorite food. So favorite foods is internal based, right? And knowing what are the meals, where am I going to get my protein? That's a vehicle-based objections, because they have questions like plants, like don't you got to eat meats in order to get protein? So what you can do is you can create a meal plan by providing, like we're going to show you actual meals recipes you could do that are nutritious, delicious, they're fun, fast, and easy, they're crowd pleasers, family loves them. And we're going to show you some recipes like that. How many of you want a simple path for transitioning your taste buds? People are like, yeah, I want simple. That sounds good. So that's a vehicle-based bonus. And you take the reason why they say they can't do it or they won't move forward becomes the reason why they must invest in your program. They're like, I can't afford not to. It makes your offer so irresistibly interesting because it's addressing the 3 core objections. And then internal based objections, let's say someone's like, well, I lack discipline, I'm not consistent, I procrastinate. You're saying that's why we provide accountability coaching. Because the next bonus you're going to get when you join this program, as a free bonus, we're going to provide accountability coaching. And there we're going to hold your hand. We're going to show you step by step. If you get stuck at any part of the process, or if you're veering off, we're going to reach out to you. We're going to be knocking at your door and be like, hey, remember the goal that you had? Remember the loved ones that you're here to show up for? Like, we're going to help you to move towards the goals that you have. So we're here to support you. And so there's accountability coaching. And a lot of times when you talk to people and you ask them, what have they tried in the past? What were they missing to serve you in the way that you really felt like you needed? They might say like, well, I've done a course, but I didn't have the accountability. Or I did the course, but I didn't have people I could ask questions to. Or I was searching on YouTube. That's an old way, like YouTube University. How many of you realize that free information is something that is a vehicle that we have to address versus paid information? And so one way that I do that, I help people to see, like, look, free information is worth every penny. In fact, Regine, she was in our challenge. I was talking about crafting a signature speech, and I went through vehicle, internal, and then this third one with Regine in our training, and I was teaching her about the signature speech, and she's like, this is what I need. This would simplify so much of my life. This is what I want. So what does she do? She goes to ChatGPT and says, help me to figure out how to craft a signature speech for my offer for what I teach and the women that I help. She helps mothers flatten their mommy tummy. And what she was getting for free on AI versus what I was teaching, vast different. She's like, it's impossible for me to get these answers using AI or YouTube or the Google. And I share with people, like, free information is worth every penny. Sure, you might get some things for free, but you got to wade through all the massive error and the confusion. So you're actually spending so much time, but time is infinitely more valuable than money. And you could even say this when you're speaking to people and you're helping them to see. So rather than getting the free information, you're showing like, hey, premium information is going to be way better because we have tailored, specialized our program exactly. If you've got diabetes, our program is to help diabetics lower their blood pressure. I mean, lower their blood sugars and master their diabetes. If you have the nerve pains and the issue with your face, our program is designed to help you to reverse the condition. It's specific, specialized knowledge. That is where the riches are in the niches. By solving a specialized problem, you're able to charge a higher premium than if you're trying to be a generalist to anyone and everyone. General surgeons make drastically less money than the specialists, the brain surgeons, the heart doctors. Like, if you knew that you had to get brain surgery for whatever reason, how many of you would go to Google and say cheapest brain surgeon near me, right? Like, said no one ever that's not what we're going to do, because people are willing to pay a premium for the specialists. So that's why we got to pick that profitable problem. But as we're crafting the offer, like this is next level tip. Make your bonuses address these objections. Oh, and by the way, in our Skills Unlimited AI Studio, we actually have our Irresistible Offer Creator. It's an agent that helps you to draft your irresistible offer that does include the vehicle, internal, external. It helps you to take your knowledge, your insights, your experience, your expertise, and package it in a way that is so simple that it addresses these in advance. So another example, internal base. Let's say detox juicing. One thing that we did with Dr. Kendra Lee in crafting her signature speech was some of the internal objections is, well, I can't avoid fast. I can't fast. I can't stop eating. It's like I'm going to be hungry. So that is an internal objection. How do we address it? We talked about how we created a framework with her about, we called it how tasting the color of the rainbow will make you lose your cravings for unhealthy food. So now people are like, wow, I want to lose the cravings, right? And what does that mean, taste the colors of the rainbow? And she explains with her expertise that there are different colors of plants and of food that tend to have different nutrients associated with those colors. And reds are high in nitrates, they're high often in iron, or the greens they have often they have what they're able to contribute. And she goes through like Roy G. Biv or the rainbow, and she's like, through detoxing, when you have the colorful juices, not only are they pleasant to the eye, delicious to the taste, but they flood your body with nutrients, so you're not craving all these unhealthy foods. You're actually able to fast, give your body that support to be able to shred your fat and melt fat like butter. So then now people are like, oh, what used to be a reason why they can't fast now becomes a reason why they can. So in every time that you speak, you want people walking away from you feeling like, I can do that, right? So even with Skills Unlimited, because we have AI Studio, that when people are like, well, can I really do this? Or I'm like, we've made it so easy. You just answer a couple questions, hit a button, and boom, AI has been able to give you a rough draft for you that's able to simplify the process. You see how that addresses the internal fears of like, maybe I lack the skill or I don't know how to do it. We've created it for you so you don't have to. It's really simplified the process. And so that is an internal based objection. Now, what else do we have? We have the third is going to be external based objections. Now, first question, does it work? Second question, can I do it? Third question is, do I have the resources to do it? Do I have the resources to do it? That is another question. What are some resources? Is time a resource? Yes or no? Is money a resource? What about family support? Is that a resource? How many people ever heard like, I need to talk to my spouse, I need to talk to my husband, I need to talk to my wife? These are all external based objections. So every single concern that you would ever hear from an audience on a consultation call is always going to fall into one of these three categories. It's either going to be vehicle based, internal, or external. And that's why there is an analogy. It's really cool. If we go towards the beginning, it's called a sales Omito. And I want to show you, you can actually tell how close someone is to being sold by, you have to go forward. Go back. Okay. So you can tell how sold they are by what type of question they're asking you on the sales call. It's really powerful. Or if you're doing a live event, people are asking you a question, the type of question they ask is going to show you how sold they are. So this is called the sales-o-meter. And as you can see it on the screen, if they're asking a question like, hey, I've tried other stuff in the past, but what's different about yours? What makes your method unique, your program different from all these other people that are doing something similar? That shows that they're only 1/3 of the way sold because they haven't even got past the vehicle yet. So if you were to tell these external based objections or you're addressing internal objections, they're entirely irrelevant to your client in this phase. That prospect really needs to hear about the old way and the new way type messaging. The old way, new way is going to help address them and help them get to internal. So if they're asking question, okay, I like this, how much does it cost? If they're asking about the price, then that means they're 2/3 of the way sold. They already believe your process works. They believe that they can do it with your guidance. Now they are asking, do I have the resources to do it? So if they're asking like, how much time commitment is this? Again, they're 2/3 of the way sold. You understand what's happening? I want you to realize this sales meter is so powerful. One of the reasons why I love sales, persuasion, influence is because if you can grasp this, if this is the only thing you get from this call, I hope that, this is going to serve you for the rest of your life. The way that the human mind makes any buying decision is the exact same 3 steps our brain makes every decision. The science of selling is the science of deciding. So if you want to influence anyone to make a decision, yourself, to stop an old habit, we have to believe I can stop that habit and replace it with something that works. I have to believe that I can do it, and I have to believe I have the resources, the resourcefulness to be able to do it. If you want to influence a child, a spouse, or someone that you want to bring to Jesus, if you're influencing anyone to do anything, it's always these 3 decisions, these 3 things, questions that have to be answered before we'll actually do anything. And that's vehicle, internal, external. So an example I saw was, I learned this from Steve Larson. It was like, this is so profound, is he talked about flying in a squirrel suit. And he showed this video. It was like a GIF, a video clip of this man in a squirrel suit. How many of you guys know what a squirrel suit is? Type yes in the chat. So you basically it's like this jumpsuit that has a gliding, it's like the flying squirrels. And so you jump off of a cliff. And he showed this video of this dude jumping off of a cliff, and he's diving in, and it looks like it's like rocky areas, desert areas of Arizona or something. And there's this massive slab of rock that's over there, and it's creating an arch. And basically there's a tiny little hole through in this rock. And what this guy in a squirrel suit does is he goes straight for the hole. He's flying at who knows how fast, and he goes straight in between the hole of the rock, and he was able to do it. So it was so anxiety producing just looking at it. And he's like, so now let's look at the sales meter. How many of you believe it works? How many? Clearly we know it works. It's possible to do. So we're sold on the vehicle. We understand yes, it's possible because we just saw someone do it, right? But how many of you want to do it? And everybody's hands goes down. It's there's no way I want to do that. And some people are like, yeah, I'd love to do that. But now they're wondering how much does it cost? Where do I find that? How far is it away from home? And it's that shows a sales meter. Every decision you ever make in your life is going to go through these 3 categories: vehicle, internal, external. And when you understand this, life becomes more clear in more ways than one, more than just selling. Is this making sense? Type clear in the chat below if you're getting some clarity from this training of what we're covering so far. This epiphany for me just made me a light bulb turn on. Wow, I want to learn everything I can about sales because I want to improve people's lives. I want, even when you're coaching someone and they're having a hard time showing up to coaching, or they're having a hard time applying the advice that you give, it's because you may be they still have to go through vehicle, internal, external for every piece of advice that you give them. If you're giving them a change of diet, they need to believe the diet will work. They need to believe that they can do it, and they need to believe they have the resources, the time, the money to afford whatever program you give. So even steps in your coaching process is going to go through this process. So this is really powerful when we could understand this. Now, on a sales call, another really important distinction and a big mistake that a lot of health educators make, and the reason why sales calls don't convert is because you do a great deal of the talking. Whoever is talking the most whoever's asking questions is the one influencing. You are always going to influence more when you're able to ask more questions than statements. So a ratio that I would give is let them do 95% of the talking. And you speak for only 5% of the talking. On a sales call, that's it. 5% of you is you speaking, and 95% is them speaking. And if you look at the ratio of your sales calls, you will find that if you're doing a great deal of the talking, you're not selling, you're not persuading. And I'll tell you why. One of the reasons is because in order for them to conclude these things, I can't tell them. I have to help lead them to conclude it themselves. If they say it, they take ownership. But if you say it, they can disagree with you. But if they say it, they're not going to disagree with themselves unless they're schizophrenic. So the way that we lead them to conclude these what I call buying beliefs, they have to have this aha moment. Like your goal of a signature speech or a sales call is to facilitate these aha moments that instill buying beliefs. And a buying belief is anything that, when believed, will produce a buying behavior. So, and how do you do that? It's by the only three, like while you're doing 5%, there's only three things that should ever come out of your mouth on a sales call. Number one, you're either asking questions, like what have you tried in the past? Why is now a good time? Why not wait 5 years from now? And what's the goal beyond the goal? Like, what are you hoping to accomplish when you're healed? Or 6 months from now, if you're able to accomplish everything you'd like, what would need to take place for you, both personally and professionally, for you to feel that this program was a worthy investment? Like asking questions that leads them to conclude that your program is best for them. Say, well, what's different about our program that has you on the call right now? What about us do you enjoy? And so if someone's coming to you and one of the questions people like to ask is like, well, what's different about you from all the other people? Why should I work with you? Rather than allowing them to control the conversation, you just respond with a question. You say, well, it depends. What are you looking for? And it's like, what have you done? Who are the other people that you've worked with in the past? Okay, what do you see that they were missing to serve you in the way you were looking for? So if they're coming to you with the questions, you want to redirect that, because whoever's asking the questions is the one influencing in that situation. So it's really important. And we have on our sales consultation script that we give to our clients, the reason why they're able to sell such high-priced health programs is because we've shared with them exactly what questions to ask. There's no guesswork. We give you the exact questions to go through to help lead people through the process step by step, to where they are gladly willing to pay you $3,000. So you're asking questions, which I want you to see that aligns with listening. So you listen by asking questions, right? So the next thing that you do is you're either, during that 5%, if you're not asking questions, you're going to relate back to them what they just said. So, if you're asking like, hey, so what's the problem that we're trying to solve right now? And they're like, well, I've got a lot of back pain and it hurts. And every time that I'm going up the stairs, it's like not only my back, but my knees hurt too. And I just want to get out of this pain. And you're like, okay, so it sounds to me that your back is in a lot of pain. It's probably affecting your sleep and even your mobility, getting around basic life. Is that what I'm hearing? And then they say, yes. You see what I'm saying? And then when you relate back to them what they said, they feel heard and feel understood, because nobody cares what your solution is until they feel heard, until they feel listened to. And an amazing thing happens is once someone's able to pour out their heart, their soul, and express the concepts of where they're at, and when they feel that you really have a good grasp of what their situation is, now whatever you are able to recommend or prescribe, so to speak, or the solution, they're going to believe you have the solution to their problem because they feel understood, which is what a lot of health clients are looking for. They go to a doctor and they don't want to listen to that stuff. They ask you for symptoms, then they prescribe a medication, you just take that, and then they send you off. But for mainstream medicine, the way that the sick care system often practices, but when you're able to relate to them. So are you telling me that Are you telling me that this is a problem you've had for 5 years? Yes. It's like, so what stopped you from looking for solutions then? Why now all of a sudden? Why is now a good time? And then they start saying like, I only have a few moments with my grandchildren. I'm not going to live forever. If I keep going down this path, I'm going to die. And I don't like how I look in the mirror. And they were able to give you all these juicy details of why they would want to buy your program instead of stay where they are, instead of procrastinate, hesitate, delay. You see how we're overcoming the objection? I am a procrastinator. I am an overthinking. But by asking like, why now? Why not wait? Why today are you coming to get this solved? They're going to tell you. Now, if I were to tell them, like imagine you're on a sales call and you're like, look, let's face it. You're fat, you're sick, you're nearly dead, your grandkids aren't going to be here for long, and it's like you've been telling yourself for 5 years, and like you got to do it. You should change your diet. You should join my program. Who wants to be talked like that? But something incredible happens, miraculous even, when you start asking. You're like, so it sounds to me that you really want to be here for your children. Why now? Or it sounds to me you've been having this problem for 5 years. Why now? Why all of a sudden? Just by you asking that question, they're able to share all the same details, but when they say it, they're not offended. In fact, they're selling themselves. That's the epiphany that I want you to see. You want to lead them to conclude that it works, they can do it, and they have the resources to do it, no matter what it is, and this is how you do it. So those are two things. The only three things for you to say when you do 5% of the talking. The third follows. The third category is now you're going to share a short story, very short, not these long drawn out stories, short story that directly overcomes an objection that they expressed or they had, that's going to give them a reframe, that's going to shift their perspective and still a buying belief. So we can't, this is why it's so powerful to have these lists of signature stories. Like for instance, for weight loss, when we were selling weight loss, some people are like, well, I've been restricting, I've been skipping meals. I don't even eat that much and I'm still overweight. I'm like, this one person, my daughter or my girlfriend, my friend, like they eat so much and they're thin. I'm like, I don't even eat that much and I'm overweight. And it's like, what's the matter? So in our mind, consider if they're skipping meals to lose weight and your program is talking about giving them the nutrient and supplying the nutrient deficit or cleansing or detox, whatever it is to lose weight, then that's an old way. That's an objection. They're going to do that instead of work with you in your cleanse or in your weight loss program. So in order to overcome, like which one is that? I've been skipping meals. Is that vehicle, internal, or external? Which type of objection is that? Let me know in the chat. I've been skipping meals to lose weight. Which one is it? That is a vehicle-based objection because that's another method that someone would use to try to get that result. Exactly, you've got it, Dr. Kadisha. So a vehicle-based objection, and so the way that you overcome it, I have, is with these short stories. I'll just say, you know, that's the same thing that sumo wrestlers do to gain weight. Because by skipping breakfast, eating their lunch, and having a heavy third meal just before they go to bed, they gorge themselves. What happens is when you're in starvation mode, your body's like, I need to hoard all the nutrients that I can. And then when you get a moment to have nutrients, the body's like, I don't know the next time I'm going to get this. So I'm going to take all this food, I'm going to convert it to fat to store it for the hibernation or the starving times that are ahead. And so by skipping meals and restricting your nutrients, it's actually how you gain weight. And so by the short story of the sumo wrestler story, now they're like, whoa, I need to stop doing that. And it opens them up to see value in my new way, my methodology, my cleanse, the way that I can help them. Does that make sense? So what you want to do is you want to identify what are the core stories that people have, the core objections, concerns that they have, and tell one powerful story to address that. And that's exactly what our signature speech does in our process. We are walking people, we help you to find exactly what is the deepest core objection relating to your offer, what's the deepest core internal fear that people have, and how can you, just like with Dr. Kendra Lee, how can we turn that reason why they won't as a reason why they must? like tasting the color of the rainbow so that they lose their cravings for unhealthy food. And then external based objections. Some are like, I don't have enough time. So you might want to throw in a health productivity training or bonus that's going to teach them about the value of batch cooking or batch preparation, or the value of meal planning, or principles to save time and energy. So then they're like, it's because I don't have time, that's why I must join this health mentorship program. It's going to teach me how to be healthy as a busy professional. So the question in the chat is, do we do that with ads too? The answer is absolutely. Ads, when you're able to address these concerns, people buy. The same reason, like you could do it for emails, for ads, for short videos, for long form videos. The more that you could address these 3 teaching points and understand that concept, it makes a world of difference. So when you're on a sales call, do 5% of the talking, let them do 95% of the talking, you're going to convert more. And granted, this may sound very different than what you've been taught in like medical training or health education certifications. But one thing I would just say is that if you want to get different results, we have to do something different. Like good mentorship is going to be counterintuitive to us. If it already made sense, we'd already be doing it. So understand like the way that our clients have consistently sold and how we've been able to sell over $500,000 in profit in our health education business is understanding these principles. And the more that you practice these and you shift, like sometimes that might have to reevaluate what your consultation call looks like, because it might change the way that you've done it. That's what we did with Dr. Kendra Lee. Hers was totally flipped and she wasn't getting sales at $1,500 one-on-one. We taught her to double her price and gave her the script and the signature speech to address them in advance. And we helped her to take what she used to be doing on the front end, do it after they became a client. And then we plugged in this consultation call that really converts. And then she started selling. She sold in one call 3 clients through a $3,000 program. And she's been selling ever since. We've been helping her with that. So just to understand these principles or works, this isn't things that I read in a book or just saw online. It's things that we've actually applied in our business and it's been able to work. And I want to gift this to you because I believe in your message. I know that you can help people, and I want to see you be equipped to get your message to the masses. This is what we're here. I'm on a mission to empower as many holistic health educators as we can to have the marketing skills to get their message to the masses. And I'm excited to see the lives that you're able to change through this process. And if you like the video, hit like, subscribe for you to get more videos just like this, release them every Tuesday. And if you want help to go into some of these objections or repeat and enlarge on this, every month I have a challenge, a high-income health expert challenge. And on this challenge, we're able to answer your questions and walk you through as you are as you're applying these principles. We'll walk you step by step. We'll answer your questions. We'll dig deep into your business. In fact, we have one starting. It's the first Thursday of every month. So next month on Thursday, we're going to dive into this, and we'd love to see you on the challenge. It's just $49 for a VIP ticket, and we throw out the red carpet. It's not a massive challenge where you get lost in the crowd. It's a small VIP red carpet challenge. It's exclusive to be able to support you at a more intimate level to help get your questions answered. I'm Nick Leffenwell, and it's been a blessing to serve you. Remember, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. Have a great day, and God bless.